Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my videos discussing bodybuilding for the day are over with Mr. Olympia weekend coming, we can actually discuss sports. Something that's come up and this came up a few times after I made my video, which I'll link here, I'll link down below, of me making weight for my weight class for the British Grand Prix, to where I came in at 99.1 kilos after starting at 107 kilos 2 weeks out. So almost an 8 kilo drop in body weight to compete. People brought up the questions of, oh, well, why do they allow this? This sort of stuff is cheating, it's bullshit. Some people pointed out that 2-hour weigh-ins are legit and 24-hour weigh-ins aren't, or that maybe they should just weigh people in as soon as they step up to compete, or they should weigh people after. Let's break that down a little bit. First of all, weighing in people after a competition is a good way to kill athletes. And the reason is because most athletes play to win. They're very competitive. Most of your champions in a competitive environment, to avoid gaining weight, to get screwed over by a scale, may cut back their fluid intake or not drink any fluid during a competitive event to ensure that afterwards that they are okay, and they could possibly dehydrate themselves while they are actually competing at a high level in some sort of sport, any sport. And the risk there is that you're going to actually harm and kill athletes. That's why we don't do post-competition weigh-ins. Just for those obvious reasons, because most people will be consuming fluids and gaining weight during most of their competitive endeavors. And the thing you have to keep in mind is that making weight for any sport, it's not ever cheating if all the athletes are given the exact same rules. And it's always been that way in sports, and as long as everyone you're competing against happens to have the exact same rules so that they can determine you by weight class, it still comes down to individual skill, ability, and everything else. Because you're still getting put into the weight classes that are appropriate for someone with the amount of weigh-in time that you have. And what people need to remember is that making weight, or the ability to drop a weight class through means at your disposal within the confines of the rules that you are given, and yet still compete optimally and compete well and be competitive after doing so, is a skill and an ability that someone has learned and fine-tuned in and of itself. It is simply part of being a skilled athlete. Most athletes have a number of skills that they have to develop in order to be really good at their sport. Making weight, if you're in a weight class sport, happens to be one of those skills that they have to develop. And if they want to be good and be competitive, they will take advantage of it. They will develop a skill. They will develop something that works for their body. They will develop a way to drop water weight in the final days or weeks going into a weigh-in while still peaking, because they'll have to develop strategies for this. And it is simply part of a peaking process for a competitive athlete. And it's just another skill that they have to learn, and that they have to learn for their own body. Nothing more, nothing less. And the reality is, some people have pointed out, well, you guys who get 24-hour weigh-ins, that's BS, and a 2-hour doesn't allow them to manipulate as much. And no, that's not even true there either. There's only so much you could do in either window. But I personally think that the guys who work with the 2-hour weigh-ins have to have a higher degree of skill. They don't do less manipulation. A lot of those guys are 15, 20-pound water drops. Even with the 2-hour weigh-ins before, say, in powerlifting, they'll still be up to 20 pounds difference that they have dropped between their water drop and their weigh-in. In case in point, when I made weight in mine, even though I do a 24-hour weigh-in, I put 4 kilos on within a few hours. I went back and checked the scale, and had I started competing at the scheduled competition time, or when the meet actually started for my Sunday competition, had I started at that same time on Saturday, I would have been up 4 kilos already inside of that little bitty window there, because I did go check a few hours after, and I kind of weighed to keep up with my own water weight gain. I went back and hit that scale a couple more times as I was feeding, and I managed to put 4 kilos back on within a very short period of time. And so for me, I would have still been sitting at 103 kilos had I had to compete that same day. And you'll see the same thing with people who have the 2-hour weigh-ins. Believe it or not, you can still do a massive amount there if you know what you're doing and you're skilled with it. But the guys who have the 2 hours actually just have to develop a higher degree of skill. They don't necessarily not drop a weight class if they have the ability to do so. They still do it. And so really, since everyone is following the exact same rules, this isn't like this is a drug testing scenario to where a person can just cheat and break the rules and get away with it. This is a case of the rules are clearly defined. Everyone has to follow the same rules in the competition. And if one person develops a skill or an ability with their body to push that rule to the limit while not breaking it, that's not cheating, it's just being a good athlete. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.